It is a session 5 for the module 1 of the occupational health and safety, that is occupational hazard and control principles. Let us see that the components for the effective accident plan investigation. So here we'll have some important point to be noted. The first one is the report of the accident or the incident. So once the whatever the report is issued, so it is paramount that the appropriate medical service to be dispatched and emergency plan implemented, and the accident since secure to prevent other from being injured. So this is all about the report of the accident is concerned, and then for the notifications are concerned, the policy will dictate who will be notified to intimate the investigative policy. This policy will dictate who will conduct the investigation for these are the some following events. So here it is the first one is the fatality is concerned or injury may be a serious, minor, or the substantive, or the whatever the values is excessive, and the property losses are concerned, or the values may be a minor. Then it may be a motor vehicle involvement or the environmental damage or spill. It may be related with the environmental damages or a spill. Then injuries to the contract workers, injuries to the individual outside of the organization, injury to the employees under the supervision of another department or a division, or the injuries that may have occurred as a result of the crime due to the intentional or the negligent conduct. Then it may be injuries or a damage when the employee involved has used or he is under influence of the dangerous drug, a prescription drug, or alcohol, or it may be a product of the liability matter, that is the failure of equipment purchased for the employee use. So whatever this notification policy should have include the safety manager for the investigation, whatever the inputs are there, the human resource manager for the filing of workers' compensation forms and engaging the involvement of the company, the whatever the physician, the legal department for the notifications to the outside regulatory agencies like OSHA, MSHA, EPA, DOT, and whatever the state agencies are there. And when required, the top management workers compensation laws are designed to ensure that the employees who are injured or disabled on the job are provided with fixed the monetary awards, and also eliminating the need for the any further litigations. These laws also provide the benefits for the dependents of the workers who are killed because of the work-related accidents or illness. Some laws are also protect the employers and the fellow workers by limiting the amount of the an injured employee can recover from an employer, or by eliminating the liability of core workers in most accidents. The whatever the state workers compensation the statutes established this framework for the most employment. The states are limited to the employees or these workers employed in some significant aspects of the interstate whatever the commerce are concerned. The next one is the investigate the whatever the responsibilities are there. So the investigative responsibilities is a clearly the whatever the it is related with the top management, and the serious investigation should be directed by the designated manager to ensure that all appropriate issues are addressed. In some cases, the high level manager will be asked to investigate the tasks. In other cases, it may be appropriate to assemble an investigating team with the manager responsible for the investigation. This approach is usually required when the accident is a technical in nature and the requires the expertise of several people. Then all other times it may be best to have the matter investigated by an outsider sources. So these actions may occur when there are no employees who have experiences or the credential to investigate the matter. So this situation is common when a motor vehicle accident may require reconstruction of the events, or when a fire requires a fire investigator or a cause and the origin investigator. The other areas that have would consider the use of the outside sources would be the for existence of the violations or the potential violations of the laws. The whatever the use of the first line supervisor as an accident investigator is a common to most industrial accident, especially when they are considered to be minor in injury or the property damage. When the first line, the supervisor is designated to conduct an investigation, it is important that the investigations be reviewed by a manager to ascertain the real cause of the accident. The first line supervisor has a responsibility to maintain the safe and hazard free workplace. When the accident occurs, the first line supervisor has an interest in the outcome of the investigation. If the accident is the result of the supervisor failing or to correct the substandard act or the conditions, the supervisor may be reluctant to completely report all the facts that resulted in the accident. Then another reason for not having the first line supervisor conduct the investigation is that when the time is a factor, the minor investigations may require the in-depth analysis of the system and could take the supervisors away from other duties. That could be result in loss of production and quality. So this is all about the investigation responsibilities, and then the investigation methods are concerned. So the whatever the accident investigation plan must be there, it should provide the general guidelines to the investigators concerning the methods to be employed in gathering the evidence to support the facts of the cases are there. Then if the guidelines are not established, then before the an accident, the questions will arise that will only delay the investigative process and may result in the destruction of the important evidence is there. So therefore the accident investigation plan will provide the guidelines for the technique to be employed. Then important areas that whatever the policies may includes, the first one is the interviews. So this interviews means when are they be conducted, who will be the interviewed, and how will be the interviews is to be recorded. Will note the whatever the suffice can be mechanically recorded. Must maybe transcribed in the form of the statement, and their questions that can be cause a delay in the investigation. Then next point is isolating the scene, means apart from the protecting the others from the hazardous accident scene, how long can the scene be secured for the investigative purpose? The answer depending upon the circumstances surrounding the accident. If the scene can be recorded by the photograph equipment and the accident was minor, the whatever the isolations may be terminated. However, if the accident requires experts, the investigation plan will dictate this time when there has been exposure to the hazardous materials. For example, an industrial hygienist may want to test the atmosphere to determine the chemical involved. Then the accident investigation plan will provide the guidance for the experts. The whatever the plan is there, is to consider the issues beforehand, such as business contract, client attorney relationship concerning notes and reports, and who will be the contacted and what laboratories can be used. The common question is raised in most of the investigations is one of the photography recording. The use of videotape is becoming increasing popular and has been employed with the excellent result in the areas of criminal investigations. There is no reason why videotaping cannot be used in recording of the accidents is concerned. Then there are several advantages of videotaping. The first one is that it provides the more realistic and graphic portrayal of the accident scene. It tends to capture the atmosphere of the scene and the events leading up the accident. It can also use to record the statements of the witnesses. Finally, the use of such equipment is relatively easy, and it's very cost effective in terms of recording evidence and reproducing the copies. The accident investigation plan has established the investigative process and will allow for an effective investigations with minimizations of duplications of the activities. The plan will only work if managers, supervisors are trained in the components and they understand the importance of the every step. Once the accident was reported, and most difficult step confronting the supervisor is the interview. That is, management has the responsibility of training supervisors and managers in the methods of acquiring the facts through the interviews. Then the methods of acquiring the accident facts. A number of such problems confronting to the supervisor who has been designated to conduct an investigation is beginning the interview of a person who had an accident or the close call and getting that person to tell complete facts about the institutes. These are the reasons why employees may reluctant to tell the truth about the accident. Is that first one is that could be embraced about what really happened. Then second, could be afraid of ridiculous or the whatever the sarcasm. Then could feel that the telling the truth will result in a reprimand or the discipline. Then next fourth one is that may lose their right to injury compensations if they tell the truth. Then fifth one, may have been under the influence of drugs or alcohol. So whatever the reason, a supervisor can count the on fear of the some kind as main reason for the injured employee being reluctant in an interview. An accident investigator must learn to reduce the injured employee fears. If the investigator conducts the interview in a negative way, it can lead to even more fear of the ridiculous than the whatever the sarcasm or the half truths from the injured employee. Once a supervisor has been tagged for giving injured employee a hard time, then he or she will be usually be given distorted information in other accident investigations. The best way of the supervisor can receive the good accident information is by acquiring the respect and goodwill of his whatever the his or her employees. Then there are four major the whatever the interviewing styles that has an individual can use the interviewing the situation. The first one is interrogator, next the analytical, then the supporter, then the interrogator. They will see one by one. The primary interrogator is the reluctance in obtaining the results and places a high value on the task accomplishment, and these individuals tend to enjoy the getting the things done. Usually the thorough resourcefulness and the determination. They are usually direct in their communication pattern and decisive in situations in which leadership is needed. Then the interrogators are usually well organized and hard driving. They have a high standard for themselves and others. Often the interrogator sees the issues in terms of the black and white, right or wrong. They make decisions quickly and feel uncomfortable in situations in which they feel time is being wasted or the decision cannot be agreed on the rapidly. The motto for the interrogator under the stress would be, it is not how you will play the game but whether you win or lose. Then the interrogator places the high emphasis on the task accomplishment, and as a result sometimes demonstrate tunnel vision. They can be a somewhat impatient and have a tendency to run over the feelings of others. Then differing the opinion can sometimes be a problem for interrogator and bring the defensive overactions. They stand their ground firmly until defeated or victorious, and usually will whatever express anger and the frustration when others they contradict them. Then the interviewer whose primary style is analytically rely on the observations and rational logic at all the times. They avoid the emotions and tend to be very the skeptical. The analytical style strives to avoid the disagreement and tension by the letting the facts stand for themselves. They avoid going off half cooked or being influenced by the need of the moment. The analytical style can be effective at the pointing out the deficiencies in plans while not being moved by emotional pressures. The next one is the analytical style. When the whatever the analytical style is under stress, he or she may be relate too much on his style and appear rigid and insecure. They can become overly cautious to the point of the indecent. Then rather than undergo the tension and the frustration of the conflict, this style simply mentally and physically steps away from the situation. Stressful encounters are usually kept as the whatever impersonal as possible, and in case of disagreement the analytical style will sometimes withdraw altogether. Although in some cases this sort of behavior reduces conflict, it also reduces the commitment to whatever the solutions or decision is being reached. Then next one is the primary supporter is likely to be the pursued as a dynamic and stimulating. They are usually warm and sensitive to other person's needs and wants. They are able to pick up the whatever the discrepancy between the what someone says and what they mean. Then the supporters is perceptive and the patience with the other. Then the primary supports act on the basis of gut feeling about the thing. They are usually good communicators and at the times can be helpful in assisting there in whatever the communications are there. Then the supporter, the role of the supporter under the whatever the supporters under stress may become more the concerned about the interaction between the people than the task to be accomplished. They may become detrimental to the point of not functioning properly. Supporters rely less on logic and thought and more on their gut feelings. Therefore, they can become more concerned about how to make an emotional impact rather than considering the whether such an impact has been carefully planned. At worst, the supporters' overly emotional attitude may seen by the others as a substitute for action. At times, the supporters would rather give in than hurt someone's feelings. Primary interrogators are known for questioning themselves as well as the others. They place high value on understanding all sides of the issues. The interrogators stress both rational facts and emotional feelings in the relations to the job to be done. So they are usually open to the views of others and will probe to understand positions on a given topic. Then, committed to the joint problem solving, the interrogators will seek a creative solutions to the conflict that allows each side to gain something. This type of the interviewer sees conflict as a natural and helpful. Then, lastly, the integrators. So integrator under the stress will often attempt to the maneuver people and the fact into the compromise too quickly, thereby creating an appearance of their lack of understanding. They can be seen as easily influenced or too political at a time of crucial decision making. They will attempt to integrate issues that should not be integrated and will lack of rational logic to identify the issues before the time and energy are wasted. As a leader, the integrator can appear the uncertain as what course of actions to take. Everyone uses a blend of all four the whatever interviewing styles. Most people use one style, that is a primary style, and then blend the other three styles when necessary. Problems can be developed when an interviewer uses a styles too much or not enough. The best whatever the interviewer is one who has achieved a balance between all the four styles. Then the supervision role in accident investigation. So it is essential that each questions of the accident report for to be completely and correctly answered. The whatever the safety supervisor, who is a person assigned the responsibility for accident preventions at the location, should sign the form only after he or she is satisfied that detailed account of the cause of the accident has been given, including a clear description of injury and the extent of the disability, and all the facts need to be properly evaluate the incident. Then they whatever the superintendents are there and the equivalent level of the plant management should actively investigate the disability injuries accident as well as the other potential serious injury accidents. They should interview the witnesses, apprise the scene of the accident, and if appropriate interview those centrally involved. There is a division of responsibility for the accident in many plants, that is minor injury or the equipment damage accidents are investigated usually by the foreman or the first line supervisors. The serious whatever the injury or equipment damage accidents are investigated by the higher supervision and are usually assisted by the safety staff and personnel. Then superintendent level investigations of the major injury or equivalent damage accident should include the nominally responsible first and second line supervisor as a active partners in the investigation. So this is a good time for them to learn from the example set by the superintendent level personals. Then it is also good idea to train the supervisors how to investigate the accidents. Then the major injury accident should be analyzed by the investigating committees. They consist of one or more the neutral superintendents plus the superintendent who is nominally responsible. Such committees appointed by the plant manager usually conduct the more thorough investigations than does the individual investigator. The division of responsibility for investigation tend to aggressive any lack of concern for the minor injury accidents. This lack of the concern is shown mostly by the way of the higher supervision tolerates the superficial investigations of minor injury accidents. The solutions to this problem lies with the high level supervision. All minor whatever the injury accident reports should be reviewed by the superintendent for many reasons. Such reviews would be enable higher supervision to spot the accident that need more thorough investigation because of the potential for more serious injury. The review remind the lower level of the supervision and that their accident reports are scrutinized by the higher supervision, and also give the superintendent an idea of how well the minor injury accidents are investigated in the department. Then the higher supervision should do two things to improve the overall quality of the accident report. The first one, they should order the personal guidance given to the supervisors to turn in poor quality reports. Secondly, they should order the poorly written reports redone by those who write them. So this would encourage the supervisors to quickly learn to submit the accurately written report. These two suggestions results in the good quality accident reporting, better accident investigations, and fewer investigations, whatever is there in the long run. So this is the all about the whatever the methods of acquiring the accident facts, as well as the supervisory role in accident investigations. So this is all about the model 1 with the occupational hazard and the control principles.